All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a topic that is, well, super polarizing: drug safe consumption rooms, or DSCRs. It's one of those issues that feels completely stuck, trapped in a gridlock of really strong emotions and moral arguments. So, what are we talking about here? Basically, these are supervised, clean, medically staffed places where people can use illicit drugs they've already gotten somewhere else. I mean, the very concept of them forces us to ask some really tough questions about how we, as a society, deal with addiction, compassion, and personal responsibility. And that really is the debate in a nutshell, isn't it? Are these places a common sense, compassionate tool to save lives and stop diseases from spreading? Or are they a dangerous endorsement, a kind of government-approved surrender that actually encourages self-destruction? But what if both sides are kind of missing a key piece of the puzzle? What if our gut feeling on this is just wrong? The source material for this explainer suggests there's a really surprising economic idea that could totally reframe how we see this whole debate. Okay, so let's get into it. First, we really need to understand the core arguments that make this whole thing feel so unwinnable. We got to see what each side is really fighting for. So on one side, you've got the public health argument. And it's all about pragmatism, really. The thinking is, look, severe addiction is a fact of life. Refusing to provide a safe space doesn't make drug use disappear, it just shoves it into back alleys and public bathrooms. Proponents say DSCRs stop the spread of things like HIV with clean needles, they let staff literally reverse overdoses as they happen, and that protects the whole community by just managing a problem that's already there. Then you've got the other side of the coin. Opponents see this as a huge mistake, morally and socially. The number one fear is that these sites just enable addiction, that they send a message that this kind of behavior is somehow okay. They argue that our focus and our tax dollars should be 100% on treatment and recovery, not on making it easier to use drugs. They believe it just normalizes something incredibly dangerous. So it feels like a total stalemate, right? Both sides have points that, well, they make sense from their point of view, but they're talking past each other, using completely different rule books. And this is where economics might just give us a fresh way to look at the human behavior driving all of this, a way that isn't just about supply and demand. So to get our heads around this, we need to talk about something called a compelled good. Just picture this: a family living in really extreme poverty. As their income drops even lower, they can't afford things like meat or vegetables anymore. So what do? Well, they're forced to buy more of the cheap stuff, like basic bread, just to get enough calories to not starve. Their demand for bread actually goes up as they get poorer. It's not a choice, it's a necessity. Okay, you got that idea? Good. Now let's push it. Let's take it a step further into something the source calls a cornered good. This is where things get really fascinating. So for something to be a cornered good, two things have to be true. First, it's got to be a compelled good, something you're buying out of sheer desperation. And second, and this is the absolute key, there are no other options, no substitutes. You are quite literally cornered. And this is the part that just flips everything on its head. Get this, for a true cornered good, when the price goes up, the demand for it can also go up. I know, it sounds completely backwards, it breaks all the normal rules of economics, but it's a perfect description of total desperation. And the source gives us this just fantastic analogy to help us feel this. Think of a boxer who's trapped in the corner of a ring. The punches are raining down, the pressure is mounting. What do? They don't retreat. There's nowhere to go. They lash out. They attack more aggressively. It's their only move. Okay, let's break this down side by side so it really clicks. You know, normally if the price of your coffee goes up, you might buy less of it, or you might switch to tea. Simple. But with a cornered good, it's totally different. The price goes up, which actually makes you even poorer. And since you have zero other options, you have to start cutting back on other things you need, food, rent, just to afford that one thing you can't survive without. It looks irrational from the outside, but it's the only logical move when you're trapped. So why are we talking about all this? Well, this is where it gets really powerful.
This whole economic idea, this logic of being cornered, it maps almost perfectly onto the mindset of someone in the grips of a severe addiction. It helps us understand behavior that otherwise just looks senseless.
And this chart, this really gets to the heart of the whole thing, the central point of this explainer. One single policy, say, make drugs harder to get, can have completely opposite effects on different people. For someone just experimenting who isn't addicted, yeah, making it harder or riskier probably works. That's standard logic. They'll just stop. But for the severely addicted user, the cornered one, making it harder is like punching that boxer in the corner. It just makes them more desperate. It can push them into even riskier behavior to get the one thing their body is screaming for.
You see, for the person who's cornered, this isn't some casual decision. We're talking about avoiding, just gut-wrenching physical and psychological pain. It's a compulsion. And the source points out that it's not just about getting through today, it's about the terror of not being able to get it tomorrow. That fear of future scarcity can drive someone to do frantic, dangerous things right now.
And that means when you look at it through this economic lens, a safe consumption room isn't creating new customers. The demand from that cornered user is already there. It's absolute. It's desperate. From this viewpoint, all the facility is doing is taking that existing, unavoidable behavior and channeling it out of a dark alley and into a clean, supervised room where at least some of the harm can be prevented. So, what's the big takeaway? Look, it's not about picking a side for or against these places. It's about seeing that we might be facing two completely different problems that just happen to look the same. And if that's true, they're going to need completely different tools. The policy that helps one group could actually end up hurting the other.
And that leaves us with a much tougher, but maybe a much more useful question. Instead of just debating if a policy is good or bad, maybe we should be asking ourselves this: how can we get smarter about designing policies that actually account for the messy, complex, and often totally counterintuitive ways people act when they are truly desperately cornered?